You're listening to the B&H Photography Podcast. For over 40 years, B&H has been the professional source for photography, video, audio, and more. For your favorite gear, news, and reviews, visit us at bnh.com or download the B&H app to your iPhone or Android device. Now here's your host, Alan Weitz.
Welcome to today's B&H Photography Podcast. As always, please subscribe to our podcast on iTunes and leave us a review. Also, check out our new landing page on the bnh.com site and leave us a voice message while you're there. You can find the link to our site and to our voice message widget on the show notes. On today's show, we will talk a bit about conservation photography with Art Wolfe, and then segue into a conversation with David Brommer on the upcoming OPTIC 2017 Imaging Conference, which is sponsored by B&H and is quickly becoming the premier event for nature, landscape, and travel photographers. This year's conference is themed Conservation and Ecology and will be held in Manhattan, New York City from June 4th to June 7th, 2017. Stay tuned. Before we begin today's show, Al's Gearhead Pick of the Week. As you might know or may not know, I'm a Domke fan, and I just got some wonderful news that Domke is issuing versions of their F2, F5XB, and F803 rugged wear bags in military green. I'm big about this because I already have 2 of their other bags in green, so maybe I'll have 5 military green Domke bags now. It means I have to buy more cameras to fill them up. One habit feeds the other. Anyway.
It's interesting that Domke is still, not still around. They make great bags. Everyone knows that, but they haven't changed much in a long time.
No, and that's what I love about it. If you have one that you bought 30 years ago and it wore out, you could replace it.
Yeah, I love it.
And it's probably built a little bit better and available in military green now. So there you have it. Okay, conservation photography. It's really a hybrid of several disciplines. It has to do with nature, wildlife, landscape, even news and documentary photography. But the goal is to advocate for the protection of wildlife and wildlands and improve our natural environment. Some will date its origin to early photographers, such as Carlton Watkins, who successfully used photography to help establish Yosemite National Park, and to William Henry Jackson and later Ansel Adams, who advocated for the protection of our wildlands. The modern field of conservation photography was formalized in October 2005 with the founding of the International League of Conservation Photographers during the 8th World Wilderness Congress in Anchorage, Alaska. However, as we will see, conservation photography can be anything by anyone in any place, local or on the other side of the planet, as long as it is imaging used to forward the idea of conservation. With that in mind, we're going to have a talk with Art Wolfe about his work and his definition of conservation photography. Art is a multifaceted nature, wildlife, and documentary photographer. His unique approach to photography is based on his training in the arts and his love of the environment. His goal has always been to win support for conservation issues by focusing on what's beautiful on the earth, and that's a quote. Hailed by William Conway, former president of the Wildlife Conservation Society, as the most prolific and sensitive recorder of a rapidly vanishing natural world. That's quite a compliment. Wolfe travels nearly 9 months out of the year, photographing for new projects, leading photographic tours and seminars, and giving inspirational presentations to corporate, educational, conservation, and spiritual groups. In 1997, he created a conservation-themed photography contest as an event for the advancement of photography as a unique medium capable of bringing awareness and preservation to our environment through art. And just one little quote from Morgan Freeman, who described Art Wolfe as a virtuoso whose eye brings home again and again the absolute need to preserve what we have. Not bad. Welcome, Art. Pleasure to have you here.
You didn't sound anything like Morgan Freeman, Alan. I'm sorry.
Okay. I have a hard time sounding like God. Here's a question for you. Let's get right into it. What is conservation photography?
Well, I think that's a great question. And the answer is it's photographers and their work that champion a cause, whether it's creating awareness of ongoing campaigns or simply getting out ahead of everything and finding an issue that needs to be exposed to the rest of the world.
Okay.
So there's and just to follow up, there's a lot of photographers that love to take pictures of nature, but they would not necessarily be considered conservationists. They're just having a great time following their passion of creativity. But I don't think advocacy and environmental campaigns are part of their workflow or their ethic at that point.
Oh, so, okay. So I go out and I take some wonderful pictures of seagulls and squirrels. But again, like you said, it doesn't make me a conservation photographer.
But that's absolutely right.
So what were some suggestions? And by the way, conservation, we did a little wiki search here on this whole thing. And, you go into conservation photography and it comes into, here's a bunch of little sub-contexts here. Energy conservation, habitat conservation, water conservation, wetland conservation, wildlife management, marine conservation, soil conservation. What are some things that people can do? How do you pick something, run with it, and make a difference through photography?
Well, that's a big question right there.
But in 25 words or less, of course.
All right. So I'll try to. I think that under that huge brush of conservation, all those water, soil, forests, whatever it may be, are all vitally important. And I think if somebody has a calling that really wants to contribute, they have to start economically in their own backyard, because I think traveling the world is rare that anybody can do that. So I think if people have a calling to do that and they have a talent for photography, they can, in today's world, you don't have to look beyond your own community to start.
Yeah, we know there's a big problem in the Great Barrier Reef. That in the past week there's been a lot of news about that, and it's true. You don't have to go to the other side of the planet because things that are happening on the planet are all over. So that's a good point.
Yeah,
I'd say.
And I think people have to kind of scale it to their economy, their time, their energy. All those things are important factors to tackle an environmental issue. And it need not be any more important than the little creek in your own neighborhood that's being choked by old tires or garbage. And to document that, to rally people's support, I think photography is unique in the sense that a single salient photo can really raise awareness and energize people to do something about it. And that's what I've found to be true over the years.
I think that raises a good point, which is it's maybe not so much about the photography as it is how you use the image and who you associate with and not maybe the associations, but how you get that image out there, how you make a story out of it, no?
Yeah, and I welcome all the weekend warriors that can go out with their cameras and tackle a local issue. I think the people that wind up working on an international level are few and far between, and those individuals are dedicated to the bone to make a difference with their photography.
Could you give us a couple of examples of some private individuals, no-name photographers, if you want to, that have found a cause and picked up and ran with it in local communities?
Well, let me talk on a global level, and then we can talk about the community.
Sure.
I think James Baylog has an ongoing project called Chasing Ice, and he set cameras up all around the world, from the Himalayas to the Antarctic to the Arctic. Yeah, and he documented the receding of the glaciers, which the reality is those glaciers are receding at an alarming rate, and in fact, water that comes from the glaciers in Southeast Asia, India, the subcontinent of India, all will be feeling the effects of those dwindling glaciers because they're the source of the water. It's important now to hear that, to know that we are affecting the climate by putting particulates in the air that fall in the glaciers, and it only accelerates what naturally would be occurring, but we're accelerating the process. Robert Glenn Ketchum has championed the Tongass Forest of Southeast Alaska to the point where politicians were preserving and setting aside large tracts of land. He also went on to champion the ills of Pebble Creek Mine up on the Alaska Peninsula, which would affect the fisheries of Bristol Bay. So these are prime examples of people that have really did their homework, figured out a way to really affect policy on the political level, and are dedicated individuals.
Right. We had a guest on about a year ago, and he's been documenting how small islands off the coast of the Chesapeake, Maryland area are vanishing.
Yeah, with the water rising, and fishing communities are being affected. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not aware of that particular individual, but it's a prime example of how somebody takes on a project, and you can have a lot of written words about it, but a photo showing it actually resonates with people, connects with people, and they remember that image. So I think photography goes hand in hand with biologists and environmentalists and big thinkers about the environment, especially now under a administration that is not putting money or actually withdrawing money from environmental issues. I think photographers and writers and environmentalists are going to be even called upon more in the future to not drop the baton.
Well, we're talking a bit about documentary, even to some degree news-related photography, but it's such a big umbrella that, a photograph of, let's say, a polar bear cub just being cute can also become a conservation image if it's used in the correct way. Is that, would say,
that's exactly the bailiwick that I've found myself over the last 40 years. Mm-hmm. I photograph degradation and the ills, but that's not where my reputation and my greatest exposure lies. It is in those salient connecting photos of wolf pups or polar bears or an environment. I once did a photo on the Tashanchini River, which was this great river flowing out of Canada into Southeast Alaska. It was being targeted for a copper mine by the Canadian government. The photo I took was really dreamy and beautiful, and it just epitomized the pristine nature. And that then became the focus of a campaign that ultimately got back to Ottawa. And the politicians said, we're going to preserve this. So that's an example of where a beautiful photo really made people think about the environment that was about to be lost.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, I guess let me ask you this, and this is a trickier question because sometimes images get out there and you don't know what happens to them, but maybe that same beautiful image could then be used for a calendar that was made by an oil company, let's just say, for a bad example. Are you kind of constantly vigilant on the on where your images go and what they do once they kind of are made public?
Well, I do have a staff of 5 people that stay on it, but I think you could also, in this world, you can't track every photo. And in this world, people can steal photos and turn it around. But it's such a rare occurrence that I would rather put my staff's energy and my energy into moving forward on campaigns and giving inspirationals rather than worrying that somebody's going to use a photo improperly. That could happen, but I'm not going to lose any sleep over it.
Right.
You've seen many, you've dealt with many issues. What conservation issue out of all the ones you've dealt with is most critical to you right now? Which one is gathering your most interest?
The plight of elephants. Right now, China is basically recolonizing Africa. They're in most of African countries building infrastructure, roads, trains, infrastructure that the African countries probably don't have the economy to do. And so China's very smart. It's a big country, but they're mineral poor. And so they're going into these various countries with long-term agreements to mine their country of the minerals. Now, nothing's wrong with that. It's quid pro quo. Both countries get a benefit from the association. But along with that then comes increased background deals for certain people. And it has, along with other bad individuals, other bad players, increased the poaching of elephants to the degree that we could lose the wild elephant population in Africa within 10 years. And that is inconceivable to me, that the greatest land animal could disappear from the face of the earth. It just doesn't even seem remotely acceptable. So I'm heading off in a couple of days to Chad to photograph elephant herds, the last largest herd on the continent of Africa. And I'm also working with a publisher as of a couple of days ago that is willing to produce a book that will raise awareness of the issue. And I first became aware of that by being flown into London last October, giving a talk at the Royal Geographic Society. And it was a wake-up call for England to sign a treaty along with the United States and China. China government is on board for stopping all importation of old and new ivory, which is the wiggle room from which pictures thrive.
I understand. I saw something a few days ago. The latest tact is to go after rhinos and elephants and dyeing their tusks bright pink, which apparently just trashes the value. And they look kind of silly, but apparently it seems to be effective. So, I mean, if they have to do that, they have to do it. Who's footing the bill for this, if I may ask? You're flying off the Chad to photograph elephants. I would love to do that, but it costs money to do that. Is this something you're self-funding? Do you have a backer for this?
Well, what I do is I lead tours, or I have fairly wealthy individuals that want to go on an adventure. And those wealthy individuals then will go on a private trip with me on a grand adventure, underwrite the trip. And partly that's what I'm going to be talking about at OPTIC is how can I travel the world economically and work on all these various books that have international content and be a photographer, because there's very little economy in being an environmental photographer. You have to be dedicated to do it. So I piece it together with workshops, on tours, and with individuals that want to go on a grand trip.
Given that scenario you described, and also kind of the changing marketplace for photography, if your primary goal is to do nature and wildlife photography with a cause, a conservation cause, does that put you kind of behind the eight ball a bit when it comes to book publishing and book deals, and nature photography and wildlife book deals, or are you able to do both?
I think that's a great question, and I'm able to do both. Okay. There's been certain books I've done in the past where I've done beautiful books, and yet I've found writers from the natural resource defense that would write the foreword. Other books I've had Jane Goodall and other great environmentalists write forewords for the book or to contribute to the text, and yet the work I'm doing remains true to what I want to do. Mm-hmm. And so there's a beautiful collaboration. On the elephant book that I just had a long conversation with this publisher, it is absolutely going to be advocacy. It's going to be the beautiful shots of elephants, but it may have shots of poaching, and it may be written from a much more stringent point of view from an environmentalist cause. Yeah. So there's a call to action type of book, and then there's beautiful books that kind of weave people in, but still deliver a message.
One question that I have a couple of questions, but one that just came to mind is that the current administration isn't exactly friendly to a lot of these conservation movements and a lot of things similar to that. Are you aware of any projects that are jeopardized right now, photographically speaking? There was people who are already working on projects to bring this stuff to the surface. You know anybody who's been hurt by anything so far?
Not quite yet, because it would just announce the degree with which the administration is pulling back funding. I'm not so aware on that level of what's going to be affected. Unequivocally, there will be a lot of groups affected. Certainly the biologists and environmentalists in the field.
A lot of these places you're going to, like you're going to photograph elephants, and a lot of these environments are fragile, and a lot of these animals cannot really handle much in the way of human contact. Some animals are better than others. What do you have concerns about that? People getting so excited about this stuff, they want to make a difference, that they actually do more damage than good.
That's a big can of worms right there. I think that we are seeing a lot of signs where the weekend people, and I'm not calling them environmentalist photographers, they're just enthusiasts. Yeah. Everybody in the age of the iPhone is a photographer, right? And so we're seeing ever increasing numbers of world travelers going to environmentally sensitive places, whether it's a national park or a natural area, and we're loving it to death. To the point that you're really making, is it the responsibility of the photographer to go in with sensitive eyes and to get the job done without affecting the population? And I think for the greater portion of those people that are dedicated, yes, we're doing the appropriate thing. I would argue that animals that have had increased exposure to people often are actually those survivors, because they, for instance, bald eagles now are nesting in virtually every Seattle park. They're rearing chicks that are used to people, and they're the ones that are going to survive. And all during my youth, I grew up 1 mile from where I'm speaking today. We never saw bald eagles until I was around 19 or 20, and we just started seeing bald eagles coming back. And so they're the animals that get a little more accustomed to human encroachment are thriving, from coyotes to mountain lions to bald eagles. So we're seeing actually the effects of animals that are adjusting to increased population. But you're also right that there are certain animals that are extremely sensitive to the encroachment of people. And yet we're also seeing those environmental issues, like the Chinese government has done a reasonably great job on protecting the giant panda and increasing preserves. And so we're seeing an increasing population of giant pandas. In India, we're seeing an increased population of Bengal tigers simply because they're doing the right thing and preserving ever-increasing tracts of land.
We had on our show Steve Winter several weeks ago, and you were talking about mountain lions and his project on a mountain lion that lives in the hills outside of Hollywood. It attracted such attention that efforts are being made now to allow the repopulation of mountain lions in urban areas. The
great story on mountain lions is there's more mountain lions now roaming the West than there has been in the last 200 years. So they are, animals that are tough and kind of adjusting thrive. And so it's an amazing statement to say that under the Hollywood sign, there's shots now of mountain lions.
Right. Yeah, but what they're not telling you is they cannot afford the housing there. They just...
I think you can afford the housing, just not the ones with the pools.
Oh, that's great. Can you tell us a little bit what you're going to be speaking about this year at OPTIC?
It's so salient to our conversation because what I'm going to do is talk to an audience that I presume want to kind of do some of this or pursue their own nature photography in their own neighborhoods. But I'm going to show how I've been able to navigate the world basically by working on 3, 4, 5 projects at once. So I'm amortizing the price and the cost of travel and still pull out books that generally have an international content. That's been my bailiwick, is to work on the broader picture of the globe, whether it's culture, landscape, or wildlife, and kind of connect the dots. So I'm going to take Africa and a couple other places around the world and show how I can work on various projects at the same time.
Sounds good.
Let me ask you, you've touched on this a little bit, but do you, when you're approaching projects, do you see a difference, at least in your own mind, between documentary work, wildlife photography, nature photography, or when you're going out for a project, are they all fair game at a certain
I think
moment?
every photographer basically has a slightly different slant. She may be an underwater photographer. Another guy might be, more centric towards the Arctic zones. Everybody has an interest, and some people, I wear the hat of an artist. My background's painting and art history. I never was a biologist, but I've grown to be an environmentalist because I've paid attention. So I think as much about wildlife biology or the environment than any single biologist because I have a broader brush, but I've learned along the way. So I know the behavior of bears and know the behavior of wolves or mountain gorillas or whatever it may be, simply because I've lived this life for 40 years and I'm still around. So I paid attention, and other photographers may be just centric towards the desert Southwest and the delicacy of the environment and the cactus and all that. So we're all very different people, but connected by the common cause of wanting to do good with our work and to highlight the environment. Because quite honestly, we, as you know, we're living on a tiny planet in a void of black space, and we only can go so far on damaging the environment before it's going to kick our butts. And that's what will happen. That will happen sometime down the road. I cite great comebacks of wildlife populations as offerings to the general public to say, don't get dejected. Don't think everything's going to hell in a handbasket, because there's great effects of the work that we're doing. But we need to keep working on these environmental issues. And withdrawing funds from the environmental causes is not the right choice. It's a critical time to move forward on many of these issues.
Are there opportunities from various environmental groups for photographers to find work? Reaching out to these organizations, or the budget's just not really there?
Well, I think that individual photographers that are really successful have reached out to NGOs and other organizations that are doing work. They are approaching foundations and getting grants. They're figuring out their own path forward. But yeah, they're working with from the Nature Conservancy to Conservation International. All those different environmental groups have targeted different campaigns, and photographers are embedded with those campaigns at this point.
They all know the power of the image.
It's good stuff. All right. Art, well, thank you so much for joining us. We're looking forward to hearing you speak at OPTIC.
You're more than welcome. It's been great for me as well.
When we come back, we're going to be speaking with David Brommer about OPTIC 2017. Stay tuned.
We hope you're enjoying this edition of the B&H Photography Podcast. Send us a tweet at BHPhotoVideo, #BHPhotoPodcast.
We are back, and we are being joined by David Brommer, director of the B&H Event Space, which is an amazing facility we have here. If you've never been to the B&H Event Space, you owe it yourself to pay a visit. If you're passing through, check out. Just about every single day we have something that goes on there, photographers, lecturers, and it is free, and it's in the store, and it's an amazing, amazing place to be, and I've learned a lot from there too.
And the caliber of photographers that come through is incredible. Yeah.
The top names.
Thank you for that nice introduction, Alan. It was a little self-gratuitous because you have presented in the beginning of the event space, learning to see using lenses, and that's still on YouTube.
And you learned from my errors and built upon it.
I think what's really cool about the project is that we've built up this amazing library of events on YouTube and all these lectures, these talks, and they're really critical. We have one from Sam Abel, which is it's a landmark presentation on a totally different way to build up your photographs. People have been referring to that YouTube video quite often, and now we're live streaming, which is amazing. Everyone who you want to come and you want to watch an event, you have to come to New York City. If you just can't make it in that day, turn on the live stream. You can watch from your phone, you can watch from your computer, your
Good
tablet.
point. Yeah, that's right. That's
Pretty
a fairly
cool.
recent thing. In addition to the event space, Dave is also the director and coordinator and mastermind of OPTICS, which is a terrific once-a-year event that we put
OPTIC.
on. OPTIC?
OPTIC, it's the Outdoor Photography Travel Imaging Conference.
Son of a gun. I thought it was just named after the basic word for lenses.
Well, it was clever that we put them together like that. That was planned, actually.
That's amazing. Did you know? I didn't know that. All this stuff aside, I was kind of blown away by what I saw last year, the photographers that we had, the speakers, the manufacturers that showed up to let people play around with the new toys, and there was an amazing amount of energy, and it went on for a few days. It was really quite an experience. Can you tell us a little bit about what you have planned for this year?
Well, okay, so by the way, thank you for inviting me to the show. It's always a pleasure. Much like this podcast, it's his passion, and it's where people come together and they do what they love for B&H. I created the OPTIC conference in the same spirit. I give some other reasons, but I just basically want to say that this isn't just like a big sales conference. This is B&H letting its trusted employees run with something and do something amazing that you guys as our customers can really enjoy. And there isn't any other force that allows such creativity to come through for the sake of creativity. Yes, you're going to buy cameras, But at the same time, we put together this program that's really for you guys.
But here's the catch. How much does it cost to get into this show?
Free.
Ain't that something?
Yeah, that is. OPTIC is in its 3rd year of existence. Last year was the first year that the podcast team came and did some, we got some of the great speakers to come and speak with you guys. And I think that was really 360 degrees because you had the lectures that were on the stage, and then you had this impromptu talk like I'm doing with you right now.
Yeah, we set up a podcast studio, and we were just recording stuff for there.
Well, the Paul Caponegro was a highlight for me.
Oh.
I mean, that little chat with John Paul Caponegro and his father, it was great.
And Michael Kenna.
And Michael Kenna. Yeah, well, we combined those two books. We had Kenna, but the Caponegro was a surprise, and he just was wonderful. So,
well, let me just kind of lay out what's going on here. Is that we're B&H Photo, and we're the biggest camera store in the world, technology store, and we're pretty amazing. And you know us if you want to come buy a camera, but we are much more than that, and we offer lots of free education and inspiration to our customers, and that's what really sets us apart from other people. So, being that I work in the event space and bring in all these great speakers, I always had this dream was that B&H, we're big enough, we should have our own trade show and conference. And that was realized with OPTIC. So OPTIC is the Outdoor Photography Travel Imaging Conference. And we partnered with Lindblad Expeditions. Lindblad Expeditions has about 15 boats that are traveling all throughout the world. They're staffed with certified photographers and National Geographic photographers. So it was a perfect mix to bring Lindblad in with us. When we chose the topic of what OPTIC should be and what this trade show is that it's about travel photography. It's about wildlife photography. It's about the natural world. It's about ecology. It's about wildlife. It's about going outside of your boundaries, getting way beyond your backyard and making inspirational photographs. And it's a nice topic for a trade show conference because it's a very wide topic. It's not locked into just Lightroom or Photoshop or editing or just one particular facet. And because we're B&H and partnering with Lindblad, we had access to incredible photographers. It's like ones in the past that we've had, they've been dreams. We had Art Wolfe did our keynote in 2015. In 2016, we had Michael Kenna. And I tell you what was pretty amazing was, I don't know if the people are listening to this podcast, but a lot of the rank and file B&H customers didn't know who Michael Kenna is, but should know who Michael Kenna is.
He's an amazing photographer.
Yeah, if you're really the creme de la creme of fine art photography, you're familiar with some of these great names. But let's face it, a lot of our customers, they're coming to photography a little bit later in life, or they didn't get formal educations. So it's important that we present them the best possible voices of photography that are living. Last year, we had Paul Caponegro, in addition to John Paul Caponegro. A lot of people know John Paul, but only real photography aficionados are familiar with Paul Caponegro, who's probably in the top 50 living American great photographers. And the dynamic of the two of them was amazing. And let me tell you, it was really hard to get Paul. Paul's getting up there in age, and he did not want to come to New York. And it was a lot of cajoling and a lot of arm twisting, but we were finally able to do it, and I'm glad we were able to join your podcast. We have a great assortment of National Geographic photographers, and if you really look at photography and who's making the best images, Nat Geo, they're the SEAL Team 6 of all the photographers that are out there.
Yeah,
because you drop these photographers, it could be Kuala Lumpur, it could be Stonehenge, it could be Easter Island, it could be a small off-beaten town in the middle of Mexico that has a special ritual around Day of the Dead, and they come back with amazing photographs time and time again. And many of us started our photography looking at National Geographic photographers and National Geographic magazine. It's seminal, important American institution that has really governed the way that we look at the world, has championed great rights like climate change and ecology, and has had these amazing photographers working with them. So being able to have 5 or 6 National Geographic published photographers speaking at one conference is incredible.
I think you really did summarize what OPTIC is about. I know that I heard some dialogue there just doing the podcast and sitting in on some of the seminars that I'm jaded for the most part. I've seen an awful lot in my time, and I found that to be so enlightening and uplifting and enriching. And I mean, I walked away really charged from that.
And the photographers are accessible.
Oh,
if you start showing up, and mind you, again, it's free.
Yes.
You show up, and you listen to the lecture, and then they hang out. You talk with them. You chit chat, and everyone's open. And the people were so nice. I mean, all the photographers were great. There was
Yes,
nobody-
everyone's very giving.
You know, that accessibility, my favorite part of OPTIC 2015, one of my mentors is Bob Christ. And I love Bob Christ. He's another National Geographic photographer. And probably his contribution to photography really was codifying the essence of place and capturing the essence of place. So I'm hanging out with Bob, and Art Wolfe walks in, and we're waiting for presentations to start and stop. And I said, "Oh, hold on, so let me introduce the two of you." So I introduced Bob to Art and Art to Bob, and it was beautiful. Bob looks at Art. He goes, "Oh, wow, Art Wolfe, you're a big hero of mine. Thank you so much." And Art Wolfe looks at Bob Chris and goes, "Bob, you're a hero of mine. Thank you so much." And it was cool to bring the two of them together for the first time, these two legends of photography. And that's what you're saying, it being accessible after their presentations, doing book signings. And we've set up tables where people can bring their books, and they can get books of those photographers. They can get them signed. They can ask them questions, and the accessibility. And last year, watching Michael Kenna stay in for a number of the presentations, that was very gratifying. I think we were doing something right. If a guy like Michael Kenna hangs out for most of the day and just stays in the conference just like a regular guy, except for the time when he was up on the stage.
Well, let me also mention there's portfolio reviews, and there was like a camera repair, service going on.
Right,
So
that's right.
It's a passion, and I think that's the best part about working for B&H Photo, and I'm a 20-year veteran of the company, and I can't believe it's been 20 years, but the fact that management has a vision, and they let people like myself and you guys and other people in the company really move forward on this vision. And it's not tainted by commercialism. Yes, look, there is a commercialism. If you saw the OPTIC bills, they had to be paid somehow. That was a lot of hotels and whatnot. And but it's incredible that the company gives us an avenue and allows us to do it. And I like to do it with passion. It's looking at all the speakers we have, I analyze their topics. I set them up so that we have two stages. We have a main stage and a second stage. And I'm not going to do two wildlife presentations, won't be at the same time on it. So they'll be staggered, they'll be timed. And then we spend the year basically researching new speakers. And I want to talk to you guys about OPTIC 2017.
Yeah, totally.
Please. What can we look forward to?
Okay, so first off, right now, you can go to optic2017.com, and you can register to be notified of updates. The dates for this year's conference are June 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. And I can let you guys know a little secret. There's probably going to be a June 8th, and it's going to be a wrap-up day. That'll be at the SVA Theater. And the SVA Theater is
That's
Silas
the School
Theater.
of Visual Arts.
School of Visual Arts, but they have a big theater on 23rd Street in between 8th and 9th.
After party at my house, or David's house, right? Yeah.
Right by. We're all Chelseans here. The cool part about that is it's a ginormous 4K movie theater. And what I want to do is really, we have targeted towards photographers and did very little with video. And most people, especially our customers and the ones that go on Lindblad, they are there for the photography. They're not there for the video. But I want to open it up and bring, I think that video now, we're in a renaissance, especially with drone footage. You could go so much further with video than you could in the past. So I'm slowly but surely assembling another day to OPTIC, which will be dedicated strictly to video. And the showcase will be on this big screen. That'll be a big 4K screen, which will be really impressive. It's a 460-seat theater, Silas Theater.
Well, I'm sorry. One other thing which you may mention is you do outings, you do events. Photographers lead groups around parks and locations in New York City, and isn't that a boat ride?
So we'll go over.
Yeah.
OPTIC is it's essentially a 4-day conference. Most likely it's going to go to 5-day with that 5th day being video, as I said. But let's just talk about the way OPTIC is set up. So it's Sunday and Monday at the New Yorker, which is around the corner from B&H Photo. It's a big, beautiful, classic hotel, and they've got ballrooms. In the grand ballroom will be the main stage, where we'll have the headliner speakers. We also have a second stage, which is in a room with about 130 seats. And typically the way we format it is that the main stage is inspirational, really smack you in the face, amazing photography and stories. And the second stage is a little bit more about technique and the how-to. So you just get wowed on the main stage, and then you really learn the craft on the second stage. And then we have a very vibrant trade show. And the trade show is put together, I think, quite intelligently. We have our large sponsors, which are our platinum sponsors. This year, it's going to be Nikon, Canon, Fuji, Sigma, and Sony, and also we just got confirmation LG, the TV company, and we're going to showcase some new technology from them. And then we have a number of the smaller companies that can't go on to be platinum, but we need them to be there. And they have tables that are set up in this trade show area. So it's like more of a mini trade show, really, where you can get your hands on and you can get a little bit of one-on-one with the manufacturers, as opposed to a traditional Photo Plus Expo where it's really more about the trade show. So you've got stages, you've got the trade show, and then the platinum sponsors get these special named and sponsored events, which we thought are very important to the photographers and the attendees. These include portfolio reviews. We have that's a Sigma portfolio reviews. We have the Fujifilm pushpin gallery. Back when I used to run a gallery in Seattle in the 90s, we used to do these pushpin shows, which were very economical ways to share your photography. But what we did with this is that you come in and you bring a photograph that's printed out. Also, they have Canon has printers on hand where they printed out a number of photographs. Then they get pushpinned in, and then a Fuji speaker will go and pick out the best photograph in the show. And we did three the grand prize, first and second place, and they got cameras and they got really good stuff. But I was checking out the numbers. We had 220 people last year entered photographs in the pushpin gallery. To see the guests and the attendees wandering through the gallery, pointing out their photograph or looking at other people's photographs was really very warming. And it also supports something else that we push with the aesthetic of photography, and that's the print. And in an age of Instagram, and
he used to be a singer.
So we also have Phototech come in and do camera repairs. They do free camera checkups. They do a precursory check on your cameras, blow off a little bit of dust. If there's a problem with your camera, they'll take it and do a full repair. Last year and this year, if you have a Sony camera, they will all free repairs for Sony. Sony underwrites all the Sony cameras that need work. So we've got these portfolio reviews, camera repairs. We've got the pushpin gallery, and then we have, so that's what goes on Sunday and Monday, and then on Tuesday. Doesn't end there, but wait, there's more.
And there's more.
On Sunday night, we invite everyone over to the B&H Superstore down the block, and we do a cocktail and dinner reception that's sponsored by Nikon, which I think it's so cool to be in the B&H Superstore alone, not with a ton of other customers. You're there just with the group, the OPTIC group. It's a great meet and greet. That's sponsored by Nikon, and you get some great kosher food, hang out, have a couple of drinks.
Can you buy stuff then or no?
So it's a good question if you could buy stuff. Currently, no, but I am after our store management diligently. You got to open up with a skeleton staff and do some personal shopping. You know, when I ran my gallery, we sold more photographs after loading up the attendees with drinks. So we'll do the same thing. Get hammered, and hey, you know what? I want that Canon. You know.
On second thought,
5D, I'm sorry, yeah.
That 5D.
So exactly, why not? So that's on Sunday night is the Nikon dinner, but then Monday we have something really cool, and I'm excited to talk to you guys about this. We did what was called the Canon Cruise, and the Canon Cruise was. How many of you guys were at the Canon Cruise last year?
Let's make believe we all waved. All of, yeah,
we
were all here. We were all
awesome.
waving hands.
So it was an amazing night. So we.
You didn't invite us, Dave.
Oh, you could have
first
came.
year.
So here's what we did: it's on the Circle Line cruise, and we do a cruise around. We hit a couple of bridges, and then we loiter around the Statue of Liberty at sunset. And it's a sunset cruise. It's a 2-hour cruise. To get on the boat, all you have to do is during the OPTIC on Sunday or Monday, make a purchase of $100 or more, and you get a free ticket to the cruise. You could buy anything. It's called the Canon Cruise, but you could buy. You could buy a Nikon circular polarizer for $119 and you'll still get it. But here's the deal with last year's cruise. I'm going to tell you a quick little story. So it was Ralph Lee Hopkins, who's the director of photography for Lindblad Expeditions. And the Circle Line people bring us over to meet the captain before we take off. And we're going to talk about photography and how this is photo gold. And all of a sudden, Jay Dickman, who's National Geographic Photography, comes walking over to the captain of the ship, pushes us aside, puts out his hand. He says, "Jay Dickman, National Geographic." It was one of the greatest introductions I've ever seen ever. It was just, it was like straight up. So the captain of the ship that we had was a photographer, was a B&H customer, and he knew all the spots to slow down and sit where the best photos would be. So Jay Dickman, Ralph Lee Hopkins and the captain powwow about how they're going to take us around for this cruise. So the weather is beautiful. The drink tickets are there. Everyone's having a great time. We're having a blast on the cruise. And all of a sudden we get to where the Statue of Liberty is. The sun is setting. And then all of a sudden these 4 FDNY New York Fire Department red ships come and they start spouting their water fountains,
water
cannons with the sun setting and the captain places us in the best advantageous spot. Right? And it was like poetry. It was amazing. This year we're going to be on the Serenity, which is really a yacht, and it's a nice upgraded ship. So we're going to have a beautiful ship, even though I love the Circle Line ships. Those were repurposed ships from World War II, which are still serving New York Harbor. But we're going to step it up a little bit with actually a little bit more deluxe of a ship. So
is that Hornblower?
Hornblower, the Serenity, and I'm excited about that. And
is it true that this year, instead of the fireboats, you're going to be launching ICBMs from under the water? That'd be very cool.
Well, Fleet Week is about a month later, so I don't know what's going to be in the.
Yeah, right.
But we're working actually on a Kraken. So that's going to be.
And did you guys have gear and lenses to play with on the ships? Because I know some of the events you do.
So this year we did that. We did Canon prints last year. Was very successful. You could take pictures and walk over to Canon Pixma printers and get them printed out. This year we're going to go from 2 printers to 3 printers, and we're going to set up long lens stations with cameras on gimbals for you to try it. So it'll only be Canon Canon lenses, big 600 f4, 400 2.8. You'll be able to slap your camera on that and take some pictures. And then in addition to that, we're going to have something really neat. Canon has they don't sell many binoculars, but the binoculars they do, they have these amazing image stabilizer, like these 16 and 20 power. Very high magnification, and with the stabilizer makes that magnification actually usable.
I think Canon was the very first manufacturer of binoculars to use image stabilization, if I'm not mistaken.
So we'll have demos for that, and we'll have the prints.
I mean, this is 3 days of heaven. I mean, if you're an amateur photographer or semi-pro or whatever you want to call yourself, and especially someone like myself, who I'm not going to go out and buy a 600 millimeter lens, honestly, but I'd love to use it.
So it is. It's free.
It's free.
The only thing that you actually have to pay for really is you have to buy equipment of $100 or more of any company from us on Sunday or Monday to get onto the cruise.
And that's only for the cruise.
That's only for the cruise. Everything else is free. And I just want to throw out why we throw that little caveat to throwing the $100 out there. First off, they come to the trade show. We have very aggressive specials going on, so it is a good time to buy equipment during that period of time. But what we do is we separate it with that $100. It sort of keeps the boat a little bit. If we opened it up to everybody, we have around 1,100 people come to OPTIC.
And the boat's only 24 feet long. It's
rough.
Exactly.
We couldn't do that. So we want around ultimately 300 people. So it's a way to kind of to manage the crowds a little bit. And that works out really well.
But that's the only part of the entire week's event that has, if you want to call it a price
and
tag.
Arguably it is free.
Arguably.
I mean, but you would, to get onto the boat, you have to spend the money. But John, you said 3 days.
You're getting something out of it.
But hold on, there's more. The next day is in Central Park. And what we do at Central Park is we do this National Geographic photo walk where we map out an area of the park, and we don't map out the obvious spots like Bethesda Fountain and Belvedere Castle. We go to a little bit more natural parts of the park, which are there's a castle, the Rambles out. So we map this out, and we have points of interest, and we have different. We have like tripod setups. We had a polarizer station, and we put these stations at the most photogenic parts, and we staff it with some incredible photographers. And that's like a 2 to 3 hour photo walk through Central Park, and that'll be on the Tuesday. That's by Sony. Sony sponsors that one. So I'll tell you guys a little bit about. This is the first time we haven't published this yet, but I have a list of speakers that for 2017. Which is pretty amazing. So I'm going to go down this list of speakers. So we've got Jeff Maritzen, National Geographic photographer. Allison Wright, another National Geographic photographer, specialty in portrait. We also wanted to open this up. It's not just all venerable gray hairs. This year we're expanding to a younger market. So we've got Jill and Kayla, the While Abandoned Girls, which are Instagram. So you're nodding your head. You've heard of them. They're Instagram darlings, and they're travel photography. They travel with an Airstream, and they're really cool. And this is one that only really heavy duty photographers will know. Able to get Brooks Jensen, who's the publisher of Lenswork magazine.
Oh, yeah.
And Lenswork magazine, a very vital fine art magazine that's been going on since 1992. And I think it's important to bring him on since 1992. He's been going. A couple of days ago, we got the news that Pop Photo, after years, Popular Photography won't be publishing anymore. And
80 years.
80 years.
80 years. So Brooks Jensen will be there, and he leads many workshops. He's just a sweetheart, and I love his articles and his books that he's written are fabulous. Sony's going to be bringing in Christina Mittelmeier, who's an amazing photographer, as well Vivian Gukwa, who's a New York City native.
Traveling lens.
Traveling lens, exactly. Nikon's going to bring in Lucas Gilman, who's an adventure photographer, and we'll also be showcasing a lot of the Key Mission 360, which will just kind of show an evolution of photography, this 360-degree view. Mike Corrado also will be joining us from Nikon. He's going to be doing wildlife. Now, here's a big one we're going to be bringing in from Canon, Sam Abel, who did such an amazing program for us in the past. I was going to talk very quickly about Sam Abel, why he's so important. Most of us think of photography. We build up the photograph from the front back. In other words, I look at you, you're my subject, and then I start thinking about the background. Sam Abel reverses that. He picks his background first, and then he puts his subjects into the background. It's really a very revolutionary and different way to think about building your photograph.
He gave a talk on his photos from Cuba, right? Or no, am I thinking of somebody else?
He talked about his general work. I don't recall Cuba, but...
Okay, I've seen some of his work from Cuba.
He's an amazing photographer. He gets it. I believe he's based in Maine. We're going to have Roman Kurziak, who's the only photographer that's been sponsored by Sigma and has come in for the third year. And normally I'd like to see new photographers coming in here, but it's amazing. Roman is just such a crowd pleaser. He speaks to a great demographic of people, and they really care about his wildlife and travel photography. So Roman will be back. We're going to have Jonathan Irish from Fuji. He's going to go National Geographic Photography, who's a Fuji guy. Also, we're going to have Rudy Roy, who's a Brooklyn-based photographer. I'm working on him, on his presentation. He's coming in from Fuji. Rudy's a very interesting photographer, very concerned photography, a little bit of journalism in there. We'll have Ralph Lee Hopkins. He always comes, the director of photography from Lindblad. And this time, Ralph is going to be talking about he goes up to the Arctic frequently, he travels for Lindblad. He's going to be talking about the disappearing ice, which, global warming, it's a thing, and it's changing. While it's changing photography, because photographers who go to the same location throughout their life frequently are going and seeing the location is changing dramatically due to weather. We're gonna have Rudy Winston as well from Canon. Rudy's just a gear guru and one of my favorite speakers, just to talk about technique and equipment. He
knows his stuff inside and out and backwards.
Inside and out,
Yep.
yeah. And he's also able to instruct and speak in such a brilliant way. Rudy is great for the new photographer. He'll really teach you how to use your camera.
By the way, that's an important thing also to mention about all of the speakers here. There are a lot of very good photographers out there. Not all of them can communicate.
Yes.
And what we have here are the best of the best photographers and excellent communicators.
Excellent communicators.
Which is important.
And speaking of that, so excellent photographers, we're gonna have Stephen Wilkes.
Oh yeah.
We're working. We haven't fully confirmed Stephen yet. It's very difficult with some of these active photographers.
He has a twin brother. If he's booked, just get
bring
his
in the
brother
brother.
in. Yeah.
Well, sometimes it's hard to pin them down because they're traveling all over the place. So availability is always tough. And then this is one I just, after working last week with, Art Wolfe will be coming back again. And Art and B&H Photo. We've been coming together for his art of photography classes, no pun intended. And we've been sponsoring a lot of his workshops. And as a favor, he's coming in to be with us and to come back to B&H.
So just to clarify, is there one keynote speaker like there was Michael Kenna last year, or is it not necessarily like that?
So I like the idea of a keynote, and because we live stream it. The other thing too is that Sunday and Monday's presentations are all live streamed on the main stage, so you can follow that across the world. We had about 29,000 people watching it last year, which is pretty amazing. To answer your questions, will there be a keynote? The problem with a live stream, keynotes always happen at the beginning of a talk. So the first lecture is up at 10 a.m. East Coast time. So that means 7 across the world. It'll change a little bit. So I like the stagger of the speakers. So is there going to be a keynote? yes and no. Really, Brooks Jensen is the special speaker coming in here. He's sort of the keynote guy. Also, I consider Sam Abel is going to be keynoting.
David, thank you so much for joining us, and we are looking forward to OPTIC this year. And again, the dates are...
So you want to go to optic2017.com, and the dates are June 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, with a very possible 8th for all you video devotees. And if you guys really want to get a taste of OPTIC before it all happens, go to optic2015.com and optic2016.com. We have archived all the lectures on the main and second stage. Also, some of the podcasts are
check
there.
out the podcast from last year.
Podcasts are there. And those 2 pages are actually vital. I tell you, if you're into photography and you got a good, strong internet connection, just sit down and go over all those presentations. It's a great archive, and it lets OPTIC live on into the future. So it's but if you can get to New York City, come book a hotel room. It's going to be a blast.
And the show is free.
I'm looking forward to it, and I hope you guys who are listening to this will come to New York City. New York City in early June. Probably the best times to be in New York City is arguably would be late April, June, September, and early October. It's just we get the best weather, and it's very photogenic. Yeah, it's a good time, and it's just fun. Look, come to New York City, enjoy OPTIC, go get some great dinners, jump on the cruise, come to Central Park with us.
A town so nice, they named it twice.
And we were invited last year. We didn't quite know what to expect, but I think
we
all
were
agreed
blown
it was
away.
incredible. It was just great. I mean, the people just sat down with us, the photographers, the crowd was friendly, and the manufacturers were there letting us play with stuff.
Yeah,
so,
it was
a great event.
the vibe and everything else. Again, the whole thing was really juicy.
And it's also the timing on it. It's important. New York City, we have Photo Plus Expo that goes on in the middle of October. There's like this dead time in the spring. And having OPTIC show up now. And there's other organizations like NAMPA, which is the North American Nature Photographers Association. They're vital. These things are out there, but they're not at the same time as OPTIC. So if you're into it, please come along.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
David Brommer, OPTIC 2017. Okay, another great show. Many thanks to David and thanks to Art Wolfe. Remember, OPTIC 2017 Imaging Conference will be held in New York City from June 4th through June 7th. It's absolutely free. And for more information, go to the bnh.com website or search OPTIC 2017. And to see more of Art Wolfe's work, simply go to artwolfe.com. And remember, that's Wolf with an E at the end. Here's a good one. Today's recording marks our 70th episode, and I want to send a really big thank you to Jason Tables and to John Harris and a few other B&H colleagues who make our work all that much easier, including Jill Waterman, Howard Gottfried, Greg Shurin, Todd Vorenkamp, and Akeem Adi, and of course, an extra big thank you to our listeners. Your support really inspires and encourages us, and to that, a big thanks to Paul F. McD, Steve Liu, and Docham, D-O-C-H-A-M. Docham, however you pronounce it, thank you. These are some of the people who have reached out recently with nice comments and positive reviews. Keep them coming. It means a lot to us. And on that note, the B&H Photography Podcast will be taking a 2-week hiatus, so take the time to scroll through iTunes or our landing page at bnh.com/explorer to check out our back catalog of episodes you might have missed, and stay tuned for our return episode, which promises to be a doozy. As always, my name is Alan Weitz, and thank you so much for tuning in.